Hi, Vencore Weather meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, November 13th. An Arctic front slid through the mid-Atlantic region yesterday. Colder air has moved in. Last week we talked about a potential snow threat for this week, and indeed there can be some snow shower activity later on tonight up and down the I-95 corridor, primarily in the northern and western suburbs of the big cities, and possibly even the first coating of the season in some of those suburban locations by tomorrow morning. Before we get to the threat for some snow later on tonight, and eventually we'll talk about the Sunday night, Monday threat, let's talk about the initial conditions right now. This is from coolweather.com, and just some amazing cold out in the Rockies associated with this initial shot of Arctic air. They reached minus 26 degrees yesterday in Casper, Wyoming, which was the coldest November reading ever out there. And this is not even the midpoint of November, so very impressive indeed. Shattering the old record, which I believe was negative 20 degrees, so they beat that by 6 degrees. Denver bottomed out, I've heard unofficially, at minus 13 degrees earlier today. That's just incredible, especially considering the fact that they were in the 70s this past weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Minus 13 degrees this morning in Denver, Colorado. Records or near records all the way from the Pacific Northwest to the deep southern part of Texas. And now the colder air has spilled into the eastern states. Certainly not the record-shattering type of change here in the east as they have experienced out in the Rockies. Nonetheless, that subtle frontal passage yesterday set the wheels in motion for a pattern change that will keep us colder than normal for the foreseeable future, certainly through next week. And again, we have the threat for a coating of snow later on tonight, and then another round of precipitation, most likely in the form of rain Sunday night and Monday. However, it could be cold enough at the start for a possible mixture, and we'll focus in on that threat over the next few days. Well, here's the latest continental U.S. surface map. A little bit of an innocuous-looking low-pressure area right here along the Carolinas, kind of along this Arctic frontal boundary zone. Well, indeed, this does gather some strength as it moves along this frontal boundary zone over the next 12 hours or so. An area of moisture will move right up along the I-95 corridor late today and overnight tonight. Looks like initially it'll be warm enough for primarily rain, if not completely rain, up and down the I-95 corridor. But then late this evening, after midnight, it very likely will change over to snow shower activity, especially in the northern and western suburbs, and especially in those higher elevation northern and western suburbs. And there can be a coating of snow, the first coating of snow of the season, in the northern and western suburbs of the big cities by tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, just outrageous cold continues this morning out across the middle part of the country all the way to the Pacific Northwest. In fact, they'll have some significant snowfall in the interior part of the Pacific Northwest over the next 24 hours or so. But again, down to about 13 degrees below zero earlier this morning in Denver, and that record-breaking cold extends all the way down to the Texas-Mexico border. Well, let's use the tropicaltidbits.com website for the next series of forecast maps. This is all using the 0Z GFS model run, the global forecast system produced by NOAA, and we'll focus in on both events, tonight's event and then the early next week event, Sunday night and Monday. And this particular type of forecast map has the precipitation type by color, where blue represents snow and green represents rain. This is the forecast map for 0Z tonight, early this evening, and there can be some rain shower activity breaking out in the I-95 corridor by early this evening. Again, primarily in the form of rain at this time, if not completely in the form of rain. There can be some flakes, perhaps at the onset, as this low pressure area right in this region right here starts to intensify. Let's now jump ahead 6 hours, and we'll look at 6-hour increments going into early tomorrow afternoon. Well, here we go. This is the forecast map for 06Z, which is about 1 a.m., just after midnight here. Notice the blues showing up here, the snow, according to last night's 0Z GFS model run, really from the big cities to points north and west. Rain still along the coast, but definitely looks like there can be some snow shower activity in the suburban locations after midnight tonight, and maybe even right into the big cities. A coating of snow is possible by early tomorrow morning in the suburban locations of the big cities up and down the I-95 corridor. Well, here's the forecast map for tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning, about 7 a.m. Still some lingering snow shower activity across the Delmarva Peninsula, across New Jersey, and into New England. Places like Boston, for example, and up across Maine can get an inch or two of snow late tonight and early tomorrow morning. That low pressure area that looks rather innocuous right now sitting along this region does intensify over the next 12 to 24 hours or so as it pulls up along that Arctic boundary zone. So indeed, the first threat of snow for the season here in the I-95 corridor, and a coating of snow is possible by morning in suburban locations. And finally, here's the forecast map for early tomorrow afternoon. This time the low is starting to pull off the New England coastline. Should start ending at this time across eastern Maine. Already over with here in the I-95 corridor between D.C. and New York City. Just a breezy and cold afternoon coming on Friday. Despite some sunshine, temperatures will hold at way below normal values for this time of the year in the low to mid 40s, and it'll stay dry and cold right through Sunday in the Mid-Atlantic region. Well, let's now jump ahead to the next event. Again, it looks like a dry and cold weekend here, way below normal temperatures for this time of year throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. Then by Sunday night, attention will turn to the southern states, an area of moisture, and this is the forecast map from last night's 0Z GFS model run for Sunday evening. An area of moisture gathering strength here down in the deep south comes Sunday evening. We'll look at 12-hour increments now, jump ahead to Monday morning. Well, by Monday morning, that next round of precipitation moves into the I-95 corridor between D.C. and New York, most likely in the form of rain along the I-95 corridor, depicted here by the green, but just to the north and west. Notice the blues here from last night's GFS model run. Some snow is possible to be mixed in at the onset of this. It does look like it'll primarily be a rain event Sunday night and Monday, but it might just be cold enough, especially in suburban locations, late Sunday night, early Monday, for a mixture before the changeover to all rain. Let's now jump ahead another 12 hours. And here's the forecast map for Monday evening. Low pressure along the New England coastline. Again, in the form of rain along the immediate I-95 corridor, but just to the north and west. It won't take much of a change to have a different outlook here for Sunday night and Monday. Just to the north and west, cold enough for some snow out of this system. Again, this is the Monday evening forecast map. So at this time, this primarily looks like rain in the immediate I-95 corridor between D.C., Philly, and New York City. However, it might just be cold enough for some snow to be mixed in at the onset, late Sunday night, early Monday, and it's a close call at this point for the rest of the storm. We'll obviously monitor this over the next couple of days. Finally, I wanted to jump ahead to Tuesday morning. By this time, that storm system pulls off the coast and another fresh batch of Arctic air plunges into the Mid-Atlantic region. This looks colder than this initial shot. So come Tuesday of next week, the winds will pick up strongly out of the northwest again behind this storm system that will affect the region Sunday night and Monday, and very cold conditions for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, even colder than this initial shot. So a couple of interesting storm systems to deal with over the next several days. The first one being tonight into the early part of Friday, and again, that could bring the first coating of snow to suburban locations by tomorrow morning. That's it for now. For VencoreWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.